1 second, guys. I'm about ready.
But I've held on to so many seconds, it ain't.
I know. I got a bag full of seconds right now.
Hold on a second. I've held on to so many seconds. That's so good. That's so good. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. This is your weekly dose of Geek Tavern Radio. I'm Dax, joined with
Shell
and Mike Bundy. And today, Dax, we have another.
We got a stranger on our hands. That's what we got.
Stranger danger.
He is, of course,
a YouTuber, I think the kids call him.
Corey.
Hello.
Introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Corey. I stream. I like to play a lot of video games. I like to share that passion with people, which is why I stream.
Corey, what's your favorite game to stream?
Dude, my favorite game to stream right now is Celeste. It's a pretty new game that just came out on Switch and I think on Xbox and PS4, and it's a precision platform, which I normally don't go for because those are just torturous games.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
But something about it, it's fun. There's never been any salt buildup. It's just been frustratingly challenging, but still fun at the same
time. Yeah, that game doesn't give you the chance to put the controller down and be mad at it.
Right.
Like once you die, you're back to, the beginning of that screen.
Exactly. I think that's probably the biggest part that makes it, no salt, is that you don't lose any progress at all.
Right.
Oh, well, that's good. Yeah. So it saves at your last jump.
Every room is usually like one or two screens long, but every room is a checkpoint. Every single time you die, you might lose, a couple of seconds of progress, but you don't lose any real progress.
Okay.
It makes it real fun to just keep going.
Yeah, it's $20. I mean, I think it's well worth the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys should pick that up, to be honest.
That's how I felt about Ori and the Blind Forest. Did you guys ever play that game?
So good.
I know.
No.
Ori was incredible. I mean, it is one of those games, and it's just like that. You don't lose a significant amount of progress if you die. It's super rewarding for the story that it goes through. The soundtrack alone is worth the $20 I think that it costs to pick it up.
Yeah.
Like, it's just beautiful.
Corey, as of right now, for the listeners, what system are you mostly streaming?
Recently, most of my streaming has ended up being on Twitch. I do every week. It's Mario Kart on the Switch, and then some indie game typically or something on the Switch as well. But it's basically been Switch nonstop recently.
Yeah. How long have you been doing the streaming content?
So I have streamed on Twitch for almost 4 years now.
Oh, nice.
And it's horrible.
Wow.
It has not been a very good experience on Twitch. Like, it was still fun, don't get me wrong. Viewers or no viewers, streaming is fun to me. I enjoy sharing what I'm doing with people. And it's really helped me with, like, self-confidence and, all of that stuff. But basically, I mean, for almost 4 years, I've streamed on Twitch and have a very small following of like 430 people, right? I started streaming on YouTube simultaneously about, 9 months ago or 10 months ago?
Mm-hmm.
And have over triple the following on YouTube.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's a whole completely different experience. The communities are different and the viewers are different, and the content they like to see is, of course, going to be different as well.
Right.
So it's it's kind of like I said, like a weird, convoluted story. But yeah, basically, I consider my streaming career though mostly about 10 months old.
The thing that I've noticed about Twitch is that the competitive games do a lot better on there.
Absolutely.
The folks that sit down and want to just play a game for fun, or share that experience with different people, do better on YouTube, and then the competitive stuff does a lot better on Twitch.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a reason for that though. Like when I think of YouTube and Twitch, they're obviously they're different. That's a weird way to say it, but Twitch, in my opinion, and many people that I know, go to Twitch and browse Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
You go to twitch.tv/ whoever, because that there's a speedrun thing going on, or that there's AGDQ going on, or your favorite streamer is doing something.
Mm-hmm.
But YouTube it's curated, right? It's designed to be browsed. It's designed. It has recommendations. Everything about it is designed for you to sit and watch it like television.
Yeah, it's individualized as well.
Yes. And so when you talk about the Twitch people, it's very rare that you get stumbling across, your stream, whereas on YouTube, people stumble across you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like how you, Corey,
mm-hmm.
Stumbled upon our good friend Dave from DGR.
Absolutely. It's exactly right. And it's led me to everything that we are today.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
Who doesn't?
I went to elementary school with him. He's such a kind-hearted soul. It's so great.
He is.
Oh, and we're glad to have you here with us, Corey. And hopefully we can continue this relationship together and have you on more episodes.
Sweet.
And
it's good to be here.
So with that said, goodbye.
See you later. Get out of here. No, let's dive into some news.
Absolutely.
Leading off, we got, a brand new trailer for Kingdom Hearts 3. And to be honest with you, I know I'm bringing you this news. I still have to go through the first and the second game. But
Mike Bundy, you haven't lived until you've played the Kingdom Hearts.
There's that segue that I knew was coming.
You haven't lived.
Right. I do own them. They're on my list. Maybe I'll stream them. Kingdom Hearts 3, brand new trailer. This trailer focuses on one of my favorite Pixar movies, Monsters Incorporated.
Not one of mine, actually.
Really?
So good.
Not one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, I love it.
I liked it. I didn't dislike it. There's only been, I think, one or two different Pixar movies I genuinely disliked.
I kind of didn't like it at first, but then when it came out, my sister was within the age of really liking, there's a brand new Pixar movie. It wasn't that long after like Toy Story and all that. But
yeah, so 27. This is the appropriate age group, right?
I was going to say I'm pretty sure
you're old I am.
That age.
Yeah. But so Monsters Inc. I grew to love it. John Goodman is Sully and all that wonderfulness.
Mm-hmm.
So, the trailer's in Japanese, so I don't know what the heck's going on, really. But the characters interact with Sully and Mike Wazowski, and Boo's there, the human that, oh my God, there's a human in our monster world. And Kingdom Heart characters, I don't know their names. They come in, and they're like, hey, I'm doing my best here.
Goofy and Donald?
No. Was it Goofy and Donald? I didn't even know this.
Goofy, Donald, and Sora are the main three.
Whatever. I don't know, man.
Guys, how long has Square Enix been, making this game?
I'd say probably for 2 years, because they decided they were going to make 17 different spin-offs before this game.
Yeah. They actually haven't been making it as long as we've been waiting for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I am super excited because it's just another world that's added to the list, right? They started off that trailer with with Toy Story, right? They showed a little bit of this Toy Story gameplay, and now they showed some of the the Monsters Inc. stuff, and it showed direct gameplay. Some of the summons that are going to be in the game, those looked amazing. Some of the abilities that you can do, you can summon the lightning ability and stuff like that. That looks really, really fun. I'm excited. I mean, I don't own an Xbox or a PlayStation anymore, but I'm probably going to have to for this game.
I haven't even played the other two, and I'm excited. So,
well, I'll tell you one thing that's pretty cool, and I don't know if this is because I'm not going to confess here on whether or not I've actually played a Kingdom Hearts game.
That means he hasn't.
But I think one of the cool things, and I am actually watching the trailer as we are talking.
No, then you can give your input
it was with you having your supporting characters around you, were you in the past able to do combos with them?
Yes.
I'm leaning yes too, Corey, but I wasn't positive.
Yeah,
because
I think it's some of the spin-offs maybe, but not in 1 and 2.
Yeah, I don't think there were direct combos like fully linked like that, but yeah, I think that's kind of new to the main line.
Yeah, which is great. I know you could do it in spin-offs. I know that like some of the 3DS one had combos.
And the one on PSP.
Yeah.
Dream Drop Distance and all those. Yeah, they all did in the spin-off ones. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, it looks like that's going to be a mechanic in the game.
It's really cool.
It looks more like a cutscene, but I just seen him pick up Mike Zalowski, however you pronounce the name, and roll him like a bowling ball.
Oh, okay. So that, I believe they did have that in the other games, because that's basically like a summon type. Well, maybe it was more that it was the summon thing than it is.
It is a summon.
But now it's more the is he a summon in here? Is that what he? Like?
I'm not positive. He might just be like a special ability for the world that you're in.
I know you could, like, if you summoned one of the characters, and they would fight alongside with you, place of like Donald and Goofy, and then you could combo with them. But it was a special, basically a cinematic combo as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it may be something to that effect again, because it is cinematic looking. Now, I'm watching through it actually right now as well, and I saw them do what looked to be a Trinity in the teacups.
I forgot.
That's probably a Trinity combo. So yes, that existed. If that's what that existed.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the game looks great. I'm really excited for it. Does it have a release date yet?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Probably not. Good chances are it doesn't.
Okay.
Probably a good chance we don't see it until next year. To be honest.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
too.
very likely.
If
there are going to be so many worlds that are included in that, right? I'm sure that every world that was included in the first original 2 games are going to be in it, and then on top of that, all of the other Disney ones. You know what my big, you know what my big prediction is for E3 that they reveal?
Huh?
Frozen.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, of course.
I just want to see a Star Wars world.
As I roll my eyes.
Yep. Star Wars world would be awesome.
Yeah. That's all I want.
Would be truly great.
All I know is that hopefully this game doesn't suffer just like The Last Guardian did. I honestly am going to feel terrible for a lot of people that are looking forward to this game that have just been. Well, I guess, again, Square Enix has never actually said what date or what month or what year Kingdom Hearts 3 will actually be coming out. Unlike the one developer who did The Last Guardian.
Yeah.
And,
they kept pushing it back over and over again.
Oh, man, it was that horrible. I mean, dude, that was for years they did that.
Yeah,
they just
Zelda got that treatment.
A long cycle of.
I know Dave had said at one point that he bought a PS3 because The Last Guardian was coming to it. So,
I mean, some people did with Kingdom Hearts 3 too, right? I know people that got a PS3 because they were like, "Oh yeah, Kingdom Hearts will eventually be on this system," and I'm like, "Okay, man, cool."
That would be the logical
I'm over here playing
expectation.
Halo. I'm over here playing Halo. But yeah, that was a lot of people thought it was coming there, and it never did.
Next up, there was a trailer also for Red Dead Redemption 2 that came out. and it revealed a release date for that game, and that is October 26th, 2018. And I can't wait for this.
I haven't played the first one.
Oh my god!
Full disclosure, these are not my style of games.
Yeah, no, I get that the whole open world thing isn't everybody's cup of tea. I played a ton of Grand Theft Autos growing up, so when this one came out and it was literally Grand Theft Auto in the Old West, I was totally there. And the story in the first one was really awesome. Really a story that captivated the audience and kept you interested. And I hope they, have the same magic with the second one. It's probably been almost 10 years since we had one. So
my overall impression, I got really excited for LA Noire. That game to me looked like it had so much potential with the storytelling and everything that it had. And I fell in love with it, and they sold it to me, right? And through the marketing, I fell in love with it. And then I played it, and I think that was before Red Dead. Correct me if I'm wrong. It may not have been.
I think it was after.
Okay. But I got hooked on that marketing train and how great this game had looked. And when I played it, I just was so disappointed. And I never went back to Rockstar after that.
See, side tangent on LA Noire, I had a totally different experience being a Rockstar fan, and just I love detective stuff, shows, whatever. Like Tiff and I have sat down and played through that game. Like it was one of those ones where you don't even have to play it to experience it. I love that game, but I see where you're coming from.
I've never played that one yet either myself.
Yeah,
you never played LA Noire?
No.
I mean,
it's pretty intense.
Story-wise, it was not bad.
Yeah,
it didn't have a bad story at all, but it's empty. That world is empty.
Wow, I heard so different. I remember when that game first came out, and people went nuts for it. People who weren't gamers got into gaming because of
right, because there's nothing there.
I don't understand.
People who are not gamers got into it because there's nothing there. There was no challenge. There was no
reading their emotion on their faces was hard.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but you could just second guess everything.
All right. Well,
there's nothing there. They spent so much time focusing on that reading the faces and the detailed structure of nonverbal cues and stuff that they didn't put a whole lot of time into. Man, there's this little event that's going on over here, or like you can jump in and trigger this thing in this side quest area. There's just none of that.
I'll give you that. Like, if you compare it with like Grand Theft Auto and that stuff, like there isn't that much going on. I mean, it's not as busy of a city. In fact, it doesn't really focus on you driving around. Like the driving part, you can skip it.
You can skip it.
So
yeah,
you can skip the drive to the mission.
Yep.
But you'll miss,
and you're skipping dialogue. Yeah, you're skipping dialogue too.
So kind of like Final Fantasy 15. It wasn't important dialogue, but
right.
Yeah.
But those nuanced things are so important sometimes, right? Like I watched when Destiny 2 came out. I watched all of the cutscenes online because I didn't have a PlayStation to play it on. And Corey, that's a separate story I'll tell you later. But I didn't have a PlayStation, and so I watched all those cutscenes, and now that I'm playing it, I'm actually playing through it on Xbox. I feel like I missed so much of that story because I skipped over all the gameplay stuff, and so much of that game's story is told through little interactions in tiny little moments throughout it. So, LA Noire has the same thing, but it's not I don't know. There's just not a lot going on in that world. That was everybody's big concern with Zelda too. When it was first coming out, is that, man, a lot of this looks empty.
Yeah.
And
yep.
That's how LA Noire turned out for me.
Anyway, next up, this one's pretty new compared to some of these because, as you, the listener, knows, we couldn't record last week, so
because we were watching the Super Bowl.
Right.
Duh.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta get some of that foosball.
Hey, man. And I will say this.
We're not talking about it.
I know, but the real question that people need to ask is, man, what would have Philly done, them and their natives, done if they would have lost?
I know, right?
Right? Their city is trashed after that party.
It's so bad. But anyhow, going on.
So, Nintendo announced that we're getting a new pair of amiibos for Splatoon 2, as well as a new map and another new weapon, which they've been releasing weapons pretty frequently.
Yeah, it's like once every week or once every 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think every Friday. Every Friday, I believe. And, the new amiibos look awesome. It's, I can't think of their names, but...
Pearl
and
Marina, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And, so, I mean, that's cool. I'm always excited for new amiibos. I don't buy every one, but I
Can
do
anybody
buy...
here say that they were actually surprised by that, though?
No.
Just out of curiosity, because
some people do, man. Some people go all out. They have collections of those things that are absolutely insane. I have to say that these amiibos look absolutely great. They are so much more... there's so much more attention to detail than they originally had with the original amiibos, like the Smash series. Like when you look at Link from that and the way that they have him posed, he's got that yellow bar behind him, and they couldn't figure out how to solve that problem.
Yeah.
But now they've come so far in their design that like these bulkier parts of the characters are kind of held up by like Pearl and Marina have ink swirling around them,
Yeah.
and they've got the support that's sitting behind them so they can put the character in the position that they want to without having some weird bar there.
Yeah, they've definitely gotten better and more creative with.
Which is weird that they weren't in the first place, because Nintendo made toys before they made video games.
Well, the thing is, I don't know if anybody here recalls the very first wave. Well, not the wave, but the pre-productions that we saw for the first wave looked gorgeous compared to what they actually came out at.
Oh, yeah?
So I don't think it's so much as like, I can't believe they didn't do it before. I think part of it was maybe they weren't sure how much it would catch on, so they want to put a lot into it.
Gotcha.
And also at that point, they also couldn't keep up with it.
Yeah.
Everybody recalls. I mean, I don't care what anybody says about the prefabricated shortage or anything. I think it was they could not keep up with it. They did not expect. They didn't expect it to be so popular, even though they looked really bad compared to what they were supposed to look like because of their functionality. And they were cool. I mean, they were pretty neat, in my opinion, and they still are.
Yeah.
So I think that's what to do with it.
That, too, mentioning that is that people who didn't own a Wii U were buying into that craze.
Right.
That's why they ended up throwing the functionality at the DS, right? Because folks that had a DS were like, yeah, I got to get in on that. And people that didn't even own a Nintendo console were like, these are cool toys for my kids.
I never actually thought about that, because if they were going by, well, we've got functionality only on the Wii U currently for these, and we're going to base it on, well, there only I think 13 Wii U's sold over the lifetime. I know, which is sad, right?
It is, because there's so many good games, which is why they're being ported to the Switch now.
So I imagine that they that was somewhere, they based production numbers on something on that at least, and I never thought about that actually, but that's a really good point, that the shortage was probably in a very good part due to the fact that they were like, well, nobody's, we don't have that many sold, so why would people be buying these otherwise?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And collectors jumped on that train like
For
no
real.
tomorrow. Like they were like, man, they're doing every single Smash character. We better get them all.
That one guy, that one guy from IGN. I forget his name. His last name, Peer, I think is his name.
Pear.
He has like every single amiibo ever
Yeah,
made.
but he's like the manager at IGN. Like he runs the whole freaking organization.
But he has a home collection and a work collection.
Why?
Yeah, but the work collection probably gets sent to him.
Yeah, probably. But yeah,
Or a good chunk of it, probably. Anyway.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm really excited for these Splatoon 2 amiibos. Did they announce any functionality with them?
Honestly, I did not read into it much.
Well, I'm gonna assume they can't deviate too much.
Costumes.
Yeah, I mean, it would be really weird and infuriating to a lot of people. Let's just say that you've got all these existing amiibo that work, and they have one functionality, but then you make 2 new amiibos all of a sudden and give them a totally different functionality. I don't care what the functionality is. I mean, and I'm not talking about giving a different costume, but unlocking those stages like last time, in the first game.
Right?
Something.
Yeah, they had
People
the
would
challenge.
go nuts.
Yep.
Because then all of a sudden now these are going to be a shortage, like before, and you're not going to be able to get your hands on them. Other ones. So I imagine they're going to keep it pretty similar. I mean,
yeah, it's going to
totally
be minimal
baseless,
functionality. Yeah, I mean, it's just a little cool little thing that's added to the game, right? Like when I was playing Metroid: Samus Returns, a lot of people were really critical of the Metroid amiibo that came out with it. Because it added the functionality to get you hard mode in the game.
Yeah.
Right? But that was... They said that it was paywalled, but realistically it wasn't, because once you beat the game, hard mode unlocked.
Oh,
Right.
did it? See, I
Yeah.
didn't know. Okay.
Yeah, once you beat the game, hard mode unlocked. But what it was is that you're paying for premium access
Yeah, but
to hard mode.
But it doesn't really matter because it's not like a competitive game, an online game.
Exactly.
So people like they just like to be up in arms about stuff because
Oh yeah.
if I can understand, microtransactions and things like that get you an advantage over anybody else for anything.
Mm-hmm.
But if me spending $12 on an amiibo gets me early access to a higher difficulty, early access, not soul access, but early access to it. Who does that hurt?
Exactly. I agree with you. I'm 100% on board with that as well.
That's weird. I didn't realize that. I was a little bit in the boat of like, I didn't really know. I haven't, so I'm really bad at it. But, so I wasn't aware of that. So that's actually good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That game is so great. I love that. I love that Metroid game.
I haven't beat it yet, but I love it.
Oh yeah, so good. So since we're talking about microtransactions, I figure we'd just move on to this one real quick. Mario Kart is coming to mobile. What do you guys think about that?
Well, being that we're talking about Mario Kart, Corey and I both love Mario Kart.
We do.
Well, we all love Mario
Who
Kart.
doesn't love Mario Kart?
Except for Dax because he sold his. But
Hey, I got bored.
So I think this is awesome. I don't know how it'll work. I don't know. I hope it's not only tilt controls because no.
Right.
Yeah, I hear you. Wow.
But
yeah.
If it's only tilt controls, I don't know.
The only
I don't
thing is,
see any other way. I don't see any other way.
it better have the ability for me to say I'm using controls.
In the Miiverse thing while you're waiting for a match.
I'm using tilt controls. People are like, duh, we all are.
You know what I could see Nintendo doing now, because we are going to be getting this game, which I think personally, inevitably, it's going to be tilt controls. I could see Nintendo making a small accessory, and I understand they're already out there. Like, you can already purchase these things. You see these controllers now that you can mount your cell phone, your smartphone onto. Could you guys potentially see, because obviously Nintendo is trying to make a market in mobile gaming, something that years ago they completely said we are totally against this.
I
Do you
know.
guys see them making a Nintendo controller for mobile games?
I can see it now. It's the new Nintendo Pro controller.
Right.
Yeah,
Or the Pro Phone controller or whatever.
Pro Phone.
Yeah. And it's just like a shell. Because okay, so these aren't Nintendo made, but like have y'all seen they have them for 3DS and Vita and stuff. It's like a little grip that you basically sit the handheld into, and it gives it controller like grips on the back, plus like a shoulder button.
Yeah.
Better.
Yeah.
Think of something like that shaped around your phone. And I know, and like you said, they are. But I can imagine Nintendo making one and making it premium, making it like $80.
Oh yeah.
Well, here's where I'm at actually on it. A lot of people are buzzing around that rumor of the Nintendo Switch Mini, and I think that maybe the schematics for that could be tied to like a phone dock, right? So that you can have the controller that syncs up. It could run on batteries or be Bluetooth connected, and your phone just sits in it, right? Like the Joy-Cons are actually Bluetooth. Yeah. A lot of people don't know that. Mm-hmm. But like even the Joy-Cons could potentially connect to your phone, So maybe they make a dock that your phone sits in and your Joy-Cons slide in the side of it.
So I think that would be a really cool idea, but I can't see that being in like the Switch Mini though. Because the problem is you wouldn't have the same games.
Yeah.
So it would be a disconnect, but that's actually a really cool idea. I hadn't thought if Nintendo did something like that, or anybody did something like that, where it's very similar design, it would have to be Nintendo, so they wouldn't infringe upon themselves or something. But that would be phenomenal to see a small dock that would let your phone output to the TV and be able to use Joy-Cons or Joy-Con-like controllers.
It's coming. The industry's going that way.
That would be awesome.
Success. Yeah. I mean, Apple has their new brand Apple TV thing that you can do, where you could just download gaming apps, right? There's a controller that you can connect to it. So like Mario Kart's going to connect to that.
Oh my!
Oh really? Is it?
I mean, it's going to be compatible. I assume. I'm making an assumption there.
I'm sure you can do the like a AirPlay to it, which would be fine.
Yeah,
but it'd be really cool to see a native app.
Can you play Super Mario Run that way?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to find out later.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm going to piggyback off of that concept. The whole fact that Apple now is starting to dip their toes into gaming in some manner.
Oh, they have so much more too.
Facebook, actually, and I'm glad you're on here, Corey, because I want to ask you this question. Facebook now is going to be dipping their toes into a streaming service. Now, you obviously clarified in the beginning of the episode where, when YouTube came out with their gaming and how you simultaneously would run both your Twitch channel and your YouTube channel, YouTube being the more successful. Do you see yourself? I mean, well, first, what do you think about Facebook? Going forward with a gaming streaming service, and do you yourself see you tinkering with Facebook if it is more successfve for you?
Well, Facebook Live is, I'm guessing what you're talking about, right? Facebook Live?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so that's been around for a little while, right? And I've watched, I don't know, I can't think of who they are, but I watch a couple of those sites. They do late at night, they'll do some stuff like that. And the first part of that question is, I don't want to take on any streaming sites because that's just more to manage.
Yeah.
Both while streaming and also while not streaming.
Yeah.
Everybody has their rules. Everybody has their contract there. The things you have to do. You have the rules you have to abide by in order to be streaming with them anyway. And that just adds another layer. I can't imagine me taking on any more. I mean, I'm very close to the point where I'm ready to remove a layer from my stuff as well already. So adding another one is not a good idea. But as far as like, could I ever see myself using it, or can I see it being successful. I can't see myself using it so much because Facebook, aside from the fact that I just don't use it all that much these days, it's another social media, obviously, but I don't know how I'm trying to say this, but I don't see it as a good platform for me. But I do see it going forward. I can see it being a pretty good platform because there's already a lot of these gaming sites and stuff that have an established Facebook presence, just as Facebook before the streaming stuff came around, right? They had people, find us on Facebook and you get these updates and stuff, and there are people that love that, people that love Facebook for whatever reason.
I think it's dying.
Well, I think so too, but I think
that what you just said is what had slowly killed it, right? The more it went into that advertising, find us on Facebook thing.
Yeah.
It's killing the platform.
I think the more that it became a business, I mean, it's always been a business, but the more that it became for a business, the less relevant it really actually became to the everyday, Joe Blow, right?
Yeah, when it went public.
Yeah. But I do think, I really do think that if you like for gaming sites, for these blogs and stuff, they have a decent presence already on Facebook, right? These people that like them, that like to keep up with them on there. For those people, I think it's a good thing. I think it's pretty cool. I don't think, however, that it will overtake Twitch or that it will overtake YouTube.
No,
I don't
not
think
at all.
anybody should put significant stock into it. This is not me being a business analyst. This is not me being... Don't get me wrong. Anybody listening, please. Hey.
Well, on next week's episode, we are going to have Corey, the game expert stock analysis.
We're gonna predict Google's financial.
Yep. And then the following week, we're going to have Corey, the game developer.
Long answer short, though, is I don't think it's going to be a terrible thing for other people. For anybody established already on Facebook, it's cool. I think it's great.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like when YouTube started doing streaming, right? They've had streaming for a long time, but when they really started pushing it and it became a big thing, all those YouTubers that had, tons of following already, then they could start streaming, and it was, why would you go to Twitch?
Right.
Yeah.
But but Facebook's not going to do that. It's not going to be quite that, but I do think, a lot of I think it'll help more of the things like that. Or not just gaming, but anybody loves or things like that. That's where Facebook's going to help them as a streaming service. But I don't think it's going to take anybody away from anything else. It won't take me, that's for sure.
So very quickly, the last piece of news that we have is Nintendo announced a couple weeks ago now the launch month for the online paid service. They said it will be September of this year. And, honestly, I can't wait because, I'll take they're doing the free game a month, correct me if I'm wrong. And
is it going to be virtual console stuff?
I assume.
I have a nice thing to say about that whenever. I do.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and go into it.
Okay, so on that note, right? So since I've been crafting this theory for a little while, and I feel like it's more. I think it's more true than not. I can't imagine that they have any good reason, infrastructurally or anything, for them to have not rolled out their paid online service all this time, right? It's been over a year now.
Yeah.
Right.
My thought on the reasoning behind it goes back to exactly what Mike was just saying, is that they're talking about, they mentioned before, and as far as I know, they're still going to do it, giving us a free game like PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live Gold, where you for the duration of your membership, your subscription, that you get to continue playing that game. They really didn't clarify that, but I am fairly confident, I'm going to use the word confident, that the reason behind waiting so long is to get infrastructure for Virtual Console ready, but not just the Nintendo and Super Nintendo game. Whatever else,
right?
Whatever they decide to continue going with, whether they've been trying hard to put over a lot of the old ones, from the Wii U and all that, and the 3DS and all, or if they're just going to redo it and have a different selection this time around. I hope not. I'd like to see a lot of the other games.
I agree.
The older one. But my theory that, like I said, I've been crafting is definitely that, right? Is that they've been waiting all this time specifically to have the virtual console. Not because they couldn't get the infrastructure ready, not because Netflix wasn't ready, any of this stuff, but because they're trying to roll out the virtual console. Because if they keep up what they said, we're going to get at least like one Nintendo or Super Nintendo game each month with online functionality added in some cases, at least. So expect to play like Super Mario Kart online. If that one does not have online functionality or doesn't get released, I will write a strongly worded letter to Nintendo.
I hate that game, man. I hate that game.
But it doesn't matter because it's a cult classic.
Yeah.
No matter what. You may hate it.
That's so bad.
It, but it is a cult classic no matter what. And many people love it more than anything else.
I mean, yeah.
What game was that again?
Super Mario Kart. The original.
Yeah, the SNES one.
It's so bad. So I'm on board with you, Corey. I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to release games monthly from whatever console they choose, right? I think they'll go from Nintendo, and maybe they'll jump to like the N64 the next month or something to that extent. A lot of people don't know this. The Joy-Cons have Wii Remote functionality built into them.
Yes, they do.
Without a sensor bar. You don't need to point it at the TV. It just does what movement it needs to do. I think that we are going to see some classic Wii games come back onto the Nintendo Switch as well, including Super Mario Galaxy.
Yeah.
I think that'll be one of the first ones.
It's funny you bring up the Wii game. I think you're right about that. I think we've seen evidence of this. Now, I don't know how much you guys know about this. It's not like a super public thing, but they have been they're doing like a company in China or whatever has been experimenting with porting Nintendo Wii game to basically an NVIDIA Shield. Now, if we know anything, it's that an NVIDIA Shield is basically a Switch.
Right.
I believe the processor is pretty close. The architecture is thing. So it's been speculated that them doing that is actually information for virtual. Because you're right, we do have the same functionality as modes built in. Like I played, what is that, World of Goo?
World of Goo is one of the ones.
And it has motion controls built into it, and you can it works just like a pointer. Those other two games that come with it as well, they all use pointer functionality. And it's very accurate in my opinion. I liked the accuracy because it's technically gyro, not actually pointer, but it effectively is treated the same way.
Right.
And
because you can adjust where your center lies, if I'm not correct.
Yes.
So you can just sit back and relax. Like with I found that the biggest problem I ever had with the Wii was the way that I had to hold my arm to point it directly at the TV and those types of things. Didn't stop me from playing the Galaxy games, because Super Mario Galaxy, until Odyssey, I often said was the greatest game of all time.
I'm a fan of it.
I love Galaxy too. Yeah, I think that you're 100% spot on with the way that they're going to roll out the virtual console.
Yeah, I hope that they, I just agree. I can't say any more than you guys did. So next up, I think we're going to go into the top 5 for this week, because we are running up the old time bar with a lot of seconds, you might say. And
I can't hold any more seconds.
So with that being said, we're going to go in our top 5. Who wants the pleasure of going first?
Corey's our guest. Let him go.
Okay. Number 5 there, Corey.
All right, so my number 5 is going to be The Legend of Dragoon.
Wow. Yes.
Which is funny, yeah, because we discussed this earlier. All right, so Legend of Dragoon, I mean, it was, what can you say about it? It was, it had such unique combat to basically almost any game even today. You had upgradable combos for your combat, and they came with a nice little voice clip, which And it was just, the story was a basic save the girl, but also more complex than that at the same time.
Yeah.
So it definitely, it holds a special place in my heart. So, with that, Mike, why don't you give us your number 5?
All right, so my number 5 is going to be a game that, for a long time, I only ever played a demo of this, because this is back in the day. I used to buy, I think it was PlayStation Magazine or something along those lines, and it came with a jam-packed demo disc.
Oh, yeah.
I remember those.
Yeah.
I used to just play that Parappa the Rapper game. That one song over and over.
So this was on one of those demo type discs, and in recent years I actually bought the full game, but even though it was a demo, I'm still going to put it as my number 5, and that is Ape Escape.
Oh, so good.
Man,
I forgot about Ape Escape.
Yeah, this game was the first game that took that they put the joysticks on the controller for.
Yep.
Like, if you didn't have them, you're SOL basically. You can't play the game. Man, this game I still haven't finished it, but I love this game.
Oh, it's fabulous.
Yeah.
I used to play that for hours on end. I eventually 100%ed the game and caught all the apes. There are some of them on there that are nearly impossible.
Yeah, some of them are so tough, man.
But I loved that game and completely forgot about it.
Yeah. I might have to pop this in now that I'm talking about it, because it's been a while. So, Shill, what's your number 5?
So, for my number 5, my whole list is actually compiled this way, because there are so many game series that I played on the PlayStation, multiple games, and you can't just choose one of those games to stand out higher than the other. So I threw the Tony Hawk series as my number 5. I think that most of my memories were made with Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 with you, Mike. Yeah. But just a fabulous game, tons of collectibles in there, tons of challenges to hit high scores and stuff like that. I had a lot of fun, and then the soundtracks were really fabulous to this as well. So I threw it at number 5, and I threw the whole Tony Hawk series at number 5. Dax, what about you?
If I could make a honorable mention for my number 5 spot, because it was very, very difficult for me. I'm going to say an honorable mention before I announce my number 5 is Alundra 2, just making it off of my top 5 list. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the Alundra series, but Alundra 2 was an action role-playing game. I'm not going to get into specifics because it's an honorable mention and it does not deserve the time any of the other games would deserve being on the top 5. So my number 5 is Crash Bandicoot Racing, honestly. And
Crash Team Racing.
Yes, Crash Team.
Yes, Crash Team Racing. Yeah. I apologize. But I played so much of this game at a good close friend of ours, Cody. And I went over his house, and if we weren't playing Alundra 2 and working on that game together, we were racing each other on this specific game. Just really fun. I honestly, back in that time during, being the competitor to Mario Kart, I honestly would put it almost side by side with Mario Kart. I really enjoyed the game. Very fast pace. It's the counterpart of Mario Kart pretty much, but that is my number 5.
Side note for that, and this is how I'll handle honorable mentions for myself, at least. If it's talked about, I will say that it's one of mine, and this game is one of mine. Somehow I have 3 copies of this game currently.
What?
At my house.
How come we need to sit down and play it?
So Corey, go ahead with your number 4.
Okay, so my number 4 is it's probably a game that anybody that at all will not surprise them, but it will surprise them that it's this low. I'm going to put Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, okay.
So I could have lumped in the Final Fantasy series together, but I'm not going to do that.
I don't think you can with those
You
ones.
can't.
That's my point. Exactly, right.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with lumping series together. In this case, I can't do it. Final Fantasy VII, to this day, has one of the coolest things, in my opinion, Materia. Materia, for anybody that maybe doesn't know somehow, if you've been living under a rock or whatever, were these little orbs that you could plug into your armor or into your weapon, and they would enhance you, give you special abilities, magic, steel, this and that. And then you could grow them and make them more effective and, as you battled and gained experience and whatnot. And to me, that has just stuck forever.
Yeah, it's
Something
so cool.
about it was cool. Yeah, I mean, you level up a materia you get a new one. So now you have an additional one. If you really like that one, it was a rare one, a really rare one, and maybe you missed the other opportunity to get one. But now you have a second one to give to somebody. It was unique, and it was great. And the story, a lot of people criticize the story. I liked the story. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was far more complex than it ever led on to be, while still being pretty easy to follow, at least in my opinion. And I was young when this came out. I mean,
I think there are bits and pieces of that story that you can get lost in.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's too complex. You have that corporation, the Shinra?
Shinra.
Yeah, the Shinra Corporation, is trying to suck all the life out of the planet, and you got to stop them. And, oh, wait, by the way, they created this evil monster thing that Sephiroth was born from, so you got to kill that.
But it's deeper and more complicated than people give it credit for. People give it credit for, Shinra, evil, bad, you got to stop them. There's several layers to it, I think, in my opinion. And I don't mean the story actually as an open. I think the subplots and the different things are really, really add some, some interesting points to it to me. And so, I mean, forever it will have a special place in my heart at number 4.
Yeah, definitely not going to knock you. I mean, it's top 5. You can't,
Yeah.
So
I'm going to get crap for this. I can tell you now. If people that I know listen to it,
it's all right. I threw Breath of the Wild at number 4 on my 2017 list.
Yeah.
A sin.
Sin. Whatever. Sure, I hear you.
So, Mike, what's your number 4?
My number 4. This might shock people that know me pretty well. It's going to be Metal Gear Solid.
Ooh.
Like I love this game, and it just
so are we talking the first one, or are we talking
the first one?
Okay,
like
cool.
I think it's the only one that's on PS1.
Oh yeah, I wasn't thinking about it. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
Forgive me.
I like this game. It's one of my favorite series, and I had a lot of playtime in it, but it was much later, so that's kind of why it's towards the bottom of my list. But definitely one of my favorite games on the PS1. And with this being this low, my top 3, well, they're good to me. I don't know about if anybody else will like them. But anyway, Shill, what's your number 4?
I threw the Twisted Metal series at my number 4 spot. If I have to choose one out of the whole series that is my favorite, I think it's probably going to have to be 4. I loved the way that they twisted that story where Sweet Tooth won the competition and then took over the whole thing, and Calypso is cast to the wayside and becomes a playable character. I loved that whole storyline that they did with that. And I thought it brought fresh new breath into the series, a series that's mascot is Sweet Tooth.
Right.
He was not ever a main villain or any of those. He wasn't as part of the story as he should have been. But for Remedies, that's that. And I had so much fun playing this game constantly for hours and hours on it. So I threw it at number 4.
As for my number 4, Corey actually beat me to it. It is indeed Final Fantasy VII. It's the first RPG game that I had ever purchased. But I mean, this is one of the first games that I actually saved up for and went and purchased on my own. But it indeed was my first PlayStation 1 game, and it holds near and dear to my heart. However, I can admit that I've never beat the game because on the 2 playthroughs, I would always get stuck in that area. All I remember is the counterpart of Barrett. another arm gun wielding dude. I couldn't make it past that.
You're talking about when you get
you're in
held
like a sand area.
The golden saucer, and then you have to go down and.
Yes, exactly. And for some reason, I could never make it past. I didn't have any money to buy anything. It's been a long time since I played it, so I might be using the incorrect terms. Using the word potion or anything like that. But dude, I had my 2 playthroughs, and it ending right there was enough for me to make it my number 4.
So Corey, go ahead with your number 3.
All right, for my number 3, I actually am going to go with another fantasy. This is a trend. I'm a huge RPG player. For anybody who doesn't know, because my entire list is RPGs. So we're going to go with Final Fantasy 9 for number 3. And in recent years, it's slid up just higher than Final Fantasy 7. Always like one of my favorite, almost number 1. 9 is really good. I'm huge into story and into combat, and, upgrading things. The equipment being tied to your skills really got me. I really enjoyed that. I don't know why exactly, but equipping a new sword and having a new ability that you not only gain access to now, but as you battle and stuff, you gain AP or whatever, and permanently learn that ability. So then you can switch to a different weapon, a better weapon perhaps, with other abilities. The same thing goes for your stuff, and that to me was really made that that game and the story was okay. I mean, it wasn't amazing. It wasn't it was this medieval-ish girl, less whole queen, blah blah, but the combat really and the equipment and stuff really did it for me. And the characters. It was great. That's my number 3. Final Fantasy. Mike, what you got?
Yeah, briefly on Final Fantasy 9. I don't have it in my top list, but I would put it as an honorable mention. I remember borrowing that game from our good friend Owen, and man, those cutscenes the first time I seen them back in the day, they were the most high quality that probably was on PS1, I would say.
Wait, 9 was on PlayStation 1?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was the last one.
Okay.
Wow. Final Fantasy.
I was thinking that one was PlayStation 2.
Yeah,
because I'm thinking about the cutscenes now.
Yeah.
And that speaks numbers for it right there.
Yeah. Wow.
So I'm going to put, as my number 3, the Twisted Metal series. I'm going to take a page from your book, Shill, and put the whole series. But most specifically, I'm going to pick a different one. I would say number 3. This one, I would say, has the best roster of characters.
I won't disagree with you.
I don't know what more to say about Twisted Metal than what people probably already know.
You shoot other cars and blow them up.
Yeah, you blow stuff up. Shill, I don't really remember playing these with you. I don't know.
I don't think we did. I think we played 2 a little bit.
Okay. Because I know I heavily love this series.
Yeah, I remember with 3 and 4, couldn't you take them and put them in and listen to the Rob Zombie songs that were on them?
Well, that was number 4.
That was number 4?
That was number 4, yeah.
That's the only thing that weighs me down on that game.
He's the
he is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that weighs me down on that game is I felt so oversaturated with Rob Zombie. That's the only thing that holds me back on that game.
Number 3, he did music in 3 as well.
Yeah, he did 2 or 3 songs.
Yeah. Well, they used 2 or 3 of their tracks. Brief story about my Twisted Metal love. This is probably the first game that my dad played.
Really?
There was a time where I used to take my PlayStation 2 down to his house, and we would just play Twisted Metal.
Yeah.
Well, it makes a lot of sense now because he's super obsessed with games like World of Tanks.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense that he would like Twisted Metal.
That's something that me, my dad, and my brother would always do. So, that's why this has to be on my list. So Twisted Metal series number 3.
So yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna go into my number 3, and I'm gonna say that I'm gonna go with the Spyro the Dragon series, specifically Ripto's Rage. That was my favorite of that series. I think it expanded on all the great things that number 1 did. Year of the Dragon is a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. But I think I liked the enemy in Ripto's Rage more. I think I liked Ripto more than I can't even remember the enemy's name in Year of the Dragon.
I never played that one.
Ripto's Rage.
Yeah.
Oh, that one's so good.
It really is.
Yeah, so I've thrown Spyro. You do that platforming thing, and then you chase enemies out, and you breathe fire. You're a fire-breathing dragon. You throw your flames at them, and you torch them, and you find the egg. Were the eggs in Riptos? I think they were.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So you find all the other dragon eggs. I had a blast. With that game. Probably one of my most played games on PlayStation. Yeah, I have to say so. Bud, what's your number 3?
Well, I feel kind of bad for you guys and the show as well more so for the listener, because I think maybe they are considering that we're just being lazy right now. But in all honesty, number 3 goes to not Metal Gear Solid, but the Twisted Metal 3 and 4. Again, alongside of Alundra 2 and the Crash Team Racing. These are games that I primarily played over at another friend's house. The Nintendo 64 had a lot of good multiplayer games, but I just think the PS1 was stronger, and this was one of those standout games. These games right here just stand out in the limelight when it comes to you getting 4 friends together and just having demolition derby mayhem. Preferably, the thing I really... let me just say this. Number 2, I think, is the hardest. When you look at number 1, 2, 3, and 4, I believe number 2 is the most difficult out of those first 4. Number 3, though, I think is just really strong in terms of the individual bio of each character, whether it's Vector or Augur or any of them, and Grim, I really think everybody's bio is well displayed and their story is each individually unique. But I would say number 4 was probably the best in my eyes. I even rule out PlayStation 2's Twisted Metal Black. I really like the dark theme of that, and I won't get too much off. And then the latest, the latest Twisted Metal I was actually pleased with. That was on the PS3, I believe.
Yep.
But man, I really wish they would make another Twisted Metal. But yeah, Twisted Metal 3 and 4
I would play the heck out of that.
Hey, does anybody like the first one? It's nearly unplayable.
It really is. 2 is. I've recently turned number 2 on, and it's basically the same. I can't play it. I suck at it.
Yeah,
simple as that.
But awesome, Corey. What's your number 2 game?
So for number 2, I had kind of a hard time, actually placing this one on the list where it was going to be. And it's a little known. It's a little known gem. A lot of people know it or give it as deserves. And it's Chrono Cross.
Okay.
I don't know if any of y'all have heard of it.
Nope.
It's a sequel to Chrono Trigger.
Chrono Trigger. Yeah.
Yes. It's more of a spiritual, but more than that sequel, because it's not like a direct sequel, but at the same time there are references and like pictures of the characters from the first. From Chrono Trigger in this, but it's not really a sequel in any way other than the fact that it shares like the whole time dimension kind of thing, It's a really unique game though. The combat, again, I love combat and story and stuff. The combat is unique. It has what they call elements, and your elements are your abilities. So you have fire, you have different things, different moves that characters do and all, and You don't level up by traditional means. You gain stat points seemingly randomly. I still haven't figured it out after all this time. And so it's like there's no real grind to the game because you seem to get stat points and stuff as you go, and you gain like a star for every boss battle. So, and a star, it gives you another slot for another element. So it's actually really cool combat. And the story to me was really nothing super, like extraordinary necessarily, but it was really cool. You do a lot of traveling through dimensions or time. Maybe I'm still not 100% sure on that. And yeah, it's a fun game. I actually almost finished it channel, and it's really a lot of fun. A little known gem. And on to you, Mike.
Yeah, I watched you play, numerous streams of that, and that's all my experience with it. But definitely a cool game.
Yeah.
My number 2, and I tell you what, my number 2 and number 1 on any given day could be interchangeable, as maybe it is with most people. But right now, my number 2 is Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
Such a good game.
It is.
I would argue that this might be the best Spider-Man game ever made until maybe this year.
I'm going to argue Web of Shadows. I'm going to throw that.
That's up there.
That gem in there. I love that one.
I haven't played that one, but Spider-Man on PlayStation, I played for so many hours as a kid, unlocking all the costumes and everything.
They were so cool.
Yeah.
Laughing at the passwords for some of the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this, when we talk about time, I wish there was a time counter on old systems, because I would probably have, I don't even want to know how many hours and seconds, how many seconds I would have in this game. So like, it's so cool. This is one of the only games that I've ever probably legitimately beat several times. The amount of people that show up in it, like Captain America's at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
This is where I learned who Captain America was. I had no idea. Me and Owen used to talk about this game, and the first time I ever saw it beat was with him, which is how I learned how to do the last level, which is a pain in the rear.
Oh my goodness, it's so hard.
Yes.
Yeah, run away from Carnage. And this game, I want to do a playthrough of this game because I love this game. Spider-Man.
It's an honorable mention for me.
Yeah.
I won't lie. I threw some games on here that are very popular ones for the PlayStation, and I had forgotten that I had spent so much time playing the Spider-Man game, because realistically, these were probably the games that I played more that made it into this list. But that Spider-Man game, I borrowed it from you, I think, and we played it.
Maybe
I had the demo thing where he fought
Scorpion.
Yeah, Scorpion over and over again. I did that constantly. Those demo discs were the best.
Yep.
But that game was just so much fun, and I say Web of Shadows, but it's right there with it. So, moving on for me, my number 2, I threw a lesser known series, the Oddworld series.
Ooh.
Oddworld Age of Odyssey. Yeah, I absolutely adore those games. They're nice little platformers with a decent story for a PlayStation game.
Yeah.
I have to say that the cutscenes in there looked great. Everything was really cool. The taking possession of the different enemies was really fun.
So awesome.
Yeah, it was Super Mario Odyssey before Odyssey existed.
I used to take control of those guys, and then I remember doing that.
Yep.
And fart. Sorry.
Oh yeah, you could fart. Yeah. You could fart. You could
burp.
Yeah, you could burp. You could my favorite part was when you called the dogs over to you or to the other enemies and had them attack the other enemies.
Yes.
It's like, this is your ally. These dogs work for you. And go kill him. It was such a unique game. And I spent a lot of time playing it. and I carried it over into the original Xbox as well with Munch's Odyssey. But that, I don't think that one's as good. And I thought they had big dreams for that game. I thought there were going to be more follow-ups to it, but we haven't heard anything about it since they did the remasters on at Xbox One, I believe, and PlayStation 4.
Well, they also have like Stranger's Wrath, and they made a couple of games.
Really?
There's at least 4 of them, because I actually Lair actually gifted me the collection on Steam for Christmas. Yeah, there's 4 of them. There's the 2 remasters from PlayStation, and then there's like the Stranger's Wrath and one more.
I never played the Stranger's Wrath or that other one. I know I played Munches for the original Xbox, but yeah, great games. That's why I threw them at number 2.
Oh, as for mine, it's the series that probably is near and dear to my heart, and that's Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil,
surprised that's not number 1.
Yeah, my number 1 is pretty solid, and I know a lot of people out there will agree. But Resident Evil 2 just sticks out to me because, again, I am a Resident Evil fan, and this introduced the character Leon to me, and I love the whole, between the first one and the second one. The thing I love about the first one is the creepy, eerie house and the puzzles. And of course, the second one gave you, what would it be like? What would actually result if the virus, if the the G virus actually got up on the surface, or, at least got out into the city itself. And this is what happens. And it's so catastrophic. And I mean, the way that game starts out is probably one of the best opening scenes in my eyes when it comes to a video game. And I am just looking forward to the remake that is eventually going to be coming out. I hear it's early 2019, maybe late 2018, but I can't wait long enough. So Resident Evil 2 is my number 2.
Nice. Good choice.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Corey.
So the moment of truth.
All right. So my number 1, it's really, it was definitely, it's going to be, this is going to be no surprise after the trend in my in my list already, but it's Final Fantasy Tactics.
Okay, nice.
I have loved these strategy RPGs forever, and it's a Final Fantasy game, so it won me over just by that. Playing through it, I spent so many hours. This one had a counter, and I don't remember my latest, my most ridiculous number, but I played it so many times and 100% of it. Got the secret characters. You had Cloud in it as a secret character. Had a robot in it as a secret character. It was unique. Well, it really wasn't that unique. There wasn't a lot unique about the game. It was a strategy RPG. This had been done before. Tactics Ogre and things like that. But it's a fantastic game. The story was solid. The combat was great. I mean, I would venture to say, well done combat. It never felt like hard and ridiculous. It felt challenging at the right pace and everything, and being able to change classes, that was really cool. Classes, you had there was 20 classes or something. Game locked all of them, something ridiculous like that. It was just a lot of fun to really dig into. There was so much to do and so much to get good at. It's definitely, it's always going to be up there. It's my number 1 right now for sure.
Yeah, I've never experienced that game myself.
You need to.
Yeah.
If you like those kind of games, if you like strategy RPGs, if you like, what is it, Disgaea and those kind of games, check out Final Fantasy Tactics.
Did they remake that for the
PSP.
3DS? PSP.
They made it. So it's called. If you want to check it out, you can actually buy it on the Vita too. If you have a Vita, it's called. It'll be Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Line, and that is highly regarded as the definitive version, basically. The better version. It's a remastered. They hand drew cutscenes and that. So you got like nice, very nice looking stuff in it. I've actually never gone through that one, and I should at some point. But yeah, great game.
So my number one, and I'm just going to straight up apologize to you, the listener, ahead of time. This is going to be long-winded because boy, do I have stories for this game, which is why it's my number one. And I'm not going with the full series here. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 is my number one.
Very good game.
I don't even know where to start with this game. I was first introduced to the series from my cousin Kyle, if I remember correctly, and my longtime friend Owen, who was my guitar player in the Red Cadets, and just hours of this game. Now, way back in the day before YouTube, Owen had this idea of making a movie with the gameplay. So we're sitting there with an old video recorder facing the TV, and like he wrote out a script for his character and mine.
God, that guy was so creative.
I know, right? And so if anybody ever sees my channel on YouTube or my Facebook or whatever, and you see the name Mikey WX, it originated from this game. That was my character in the game. He was a 300-pounder skateboarder with
Realistic.
yeah, and he had a shower cap on and like a night robe or some crap. I don't remember. But so now that that's in the open, oh my god, hours upon hours of this game. The soundtrack, this shaped my future in music.
Right?
For sure.
The title track on the opening video, Rage Against the Machine, Guerrilla Radio, basically that shaped Owen and I's love for music and really influenced what we did in the Red Cadets. In fact, we cover a Rage Against the Machine song, Sleep Now in the Fire. So like just so much of my life revolves around this game. I am now realizing
shaped who you are.
Yeah. And that's why this game specifically has to be number one for me. I'll let it go on to you, Shill.
So I've flooded my entire list with series from the PlayStation that I put endless amounts of time into. And it should come as no surprise to folks who know me and the types of games that I love that Crash Bandicoot is at the top of my list for the PlayStation 1. When I'm diving into which game from the series on the PS1 is my favorite, it's definitely the second one. I love that one far more than I love Warped and the first, which is actually contra to a lot of other people's opinions of this game. People love Warped and the direction that they took with that one. I love Crash Bandicoot 2. It's by far my favorite. Your basic linear 3D platformer. You had a little bit of range that you could go, but you were still stuck on that straight path. But I spent countless hours playing this game, and if each level had their own individual gem that you could collect. They had all the different colored ones that you could find. Some levels had 2 gems that you could look for and secret paths off to the side. It was just so much fun for me to go through. Probably one of the first games that I ever truly 100%ed. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I grew up on collectathon kind of games, Pokemon being my core franchise. But I never completed a Pokedex until later, and Crash Bandicoot, like I said, is probably one of the first games I 100%ed. I truly loved that franchise. Didn't like the remake as much, the things 1 and 2 just felt way too off from what they should have because they built the whole game on 3's engine. And it changed up the gameplay for the rest of it. But I love those games. I still go back from time to time and play them when I can. Bud, what's your number one?
Oh boy. So this
zombie
game...
ate my neighbor. I'm good.
Hey man, I mean, if they would have poured that thing, Quite possibly. Anyhow, Corey, if you haven't guessed it already, it's one of my favorite games of all time. Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Anyhow, this game, my number one for the PS1, is near and dear to my heart. It is a two-dimensional side-scrolling platformer adventure role-playing game, and any game that ever seeked any developer that wanted to make a game like the following game has been unable to ever even come close to this game. Matter of fact, the same developer hasn't even created a game of this series that even comes close to this. This is Konami's 1997 Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
So
This is the game. I mean, I had played the Castlevania games prior to this, but man, when I got myself a copy of this game, we're talking endless upon endless upon endless hours. I remember my PS1 getting so hot because, and I mean, I had one of those small, like white, the actual PS1s, the
I
very
have
small
one of those.
PlayStation. Yeah. And man, if you have not played this game as a listener, if you're someone who is thinking about dabbing into old PS1 games, you have to go out and buy this game. I don't necessarily know what the price is anymore out there. I think this is actually one of the PS1 games that has held up its value. I won't say it's as expensive as a PlayStation Black labeled Final Fantasy VII, but this game, man, is just beyond. Again, side scroller, but the RPG elements in this game, the fact that there was just so much of these different intricacies. And again, the in-depth story, because this was like a direct sequel to Castlevania Rondo of Blood, which I believe was a Super Nintendo game. And this game, man, I mean, everything was perfect about it. The transition from one room to another made sense, unlike most games anymore that are Castlevania games where, one minute you're in the kitchen and next thing you know, you move over to the next thing and you're in this room with a bunch of dead hanging bodies and a teleport, like a big, huge teleportation device. Like I can't, it's just, man, am I about to cry? Do you as a listener think I'm about to cry over this game? Because I'm not. But anyhow, I know I'm going way, way off, but it was a very lengthy game. One thing that was really cool about this game, though, other than the story of Alucard to his father, Dracula, was the fact that there were so many secret areas. I just remember playing this game so much, and I could never 100% it. I'd get like to an 80% and be like, what do you mean? I beat the game. And then I'd go and do multiple playthroughs, and I would notice different areas and different bosses. But I know me rambling on and losing my mind over the past 2 minutes is not going to entice any of you to go out and purchase this game. But I swear to you, if you go out and you buy this game, it'll do more justice by you playing this game for just a mere 5 minutes than me talking about it. You will fall in love with this game, and you won't be dissatisfied. So, Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
If you want, if you want to play this game, I suggest you go buy it on the arcade on the 360.
I was going to say the same thing.
Because I'm currently looking up some Symphony of the Night PS1 Black Label. Sealed. $849.99.
Oh my gosh.
I wouldn't be surprised if our friend Matt Reed gets the end.
Yeah, he probably has 3 copies.
I know.
He has 6 copies of Metal Gear Solid 1 on the PS1 sealed.
I know. He's so
That's-
proud of it. He's so proud of it. He's like, this is my baby right here.
Me and him were
Like,
talking.
why?
He sent me a picture of his Metal Gear Solid collection. Ridiculous. I can't, like...
That's his favorite series, of course.
If
Oh, it is.
I'm
It
ever
is.
going to rob somebody, you heard it here first. It'll be his house. Just saying.
Corey, it was an absolute pleasure, and I can honestly see you being on in the future, no doubt. Anytime you want to come, dude, let us know, and we will be more than happy to have you on this show. But Corey, please tell us and the listeners where they can find you.
All right. Well, if you are looking to find me, I'm CC Gaming on Twitter at CRyanCare. You'll find me on YouTube, of course. YouTube.com/CRyanCare, also the same way. And that's my main places. Other than my Discord. But
So I'm Shill. You can find me on Twitter at Shill_DS. Hit me up on there. We can play a game together. We can chat in Discord. We can get together and play whatever you guys want to play, as long as I have the console. I own an Xbox One now.
No, you don't.
I'm not giving it back. Mike Bundy, where can I find you?
They can find me on Twitter at MikeBundy316. They can find me on Instagram at MikeBundy316. And you can find me on YouTube, Mike Space Bundy, because I didn't make that Mike Bundy 316.
They can find me on Twitter at Dax Hastings. Again, that's at Dax Hastings. And of course, as always, just like every episode, we of course want to hear from you guys. So that's why I'm going to plug out the following. You can go over to Geek Tavern Productions at gmail.com. Again, that is Geek Tavern Productions at gmail.com. Pass over there, send us an email if you want us to read it on here, or matter of fact, better yet, something that we definitely want to push because in real time we'll be able to interact with everyone. Thanks to Corey, our special guest this week. You can go over to our Discord.
Corey, the tech support.
Well, yeah, again.
This is derailed.
Yeah.
Hey, and I love it. And I absolutely love it. And we all hope that you did too, because whether you're on your way to work, back from work, or you're on your way to a bar mitzvah, or by any other example, I have no clue whatsoever. Again, we are Geek Tavern Radio. We are derailed right now, but please, everyone, go out, press start, and keep on gaming. Thank you for joining us.